I had purchased a building in March of 21 here in Main Street. It's at the intersection of Schurz and Main Street. Most people would know it as the former Mad River building or River Deck building. It used to be a big club that like everybody in the city at one point was seen or went to or knows someone that was there and has a story from it. So it's a pretty infamous building. We literally did plans. We had the permits approved, ready to go. Going to set up a brand new office because my lease was up, and this was like the next phase. And September 21, tragedy struck Philadelphia. And that tragedy was the most significant water flood event of our lifetimes. Electrical systems, plumbing systems, elevator. The whole elevator was entirely gone. Like the whole elevator machine room was missing, right? Like it's crazy. And it was just like no one wanted to come in. No one wanted to invest money into a 9,000 square foot space that could flood out tomorrow again. Obviously, I had financing on this, owners involved, the bank financing because I had construction loans and stuff going. No, I wasn't sleeping because I had a third of my building not rented and not have it planned, and no one wanted to rent it. I just was thinking, I literally said to myself, f***ing Jared. It's literally in my head what I said, f***ing Jared. I gotta get Jared here. He has to see the space. We're gonna run a f***ing haunted house.
You met Brian in school, right? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So Brian and I both went to Philadelphia University together. Brian was a year older. We were both studying architecture. Probably ever since I was about 5 years old, I've always been obsessed with drawing house floor plans on napkins, wherever we go, to restaurants. And early on, everyone was telling me that you're going to be an architect, and that's ultimately what happened this many years later. Brian and I got the idea to turn the historic haunted mansion on our college campus into a haunted house for Halloween weekend. Somehow, the school gave us permission to turn it into a haunted house and create this charity event where all proceeds went to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. But since I bought my house here in Bethlehem in 2019, I took it up a notch, continued the haunted house experience here. The haunted attraction pretty much went through my entire backyard, went through the garage behind me here. We've attracted about 1,000 people from the community that last weekend in October when we ran this past 3 years. So
I'm curious, why does fear do it for you? What itch does that scratch?
I don't know. I've just always been curious about the paranormal and unknown. I do believe in ghosts.
We talk about the future, like how it would be cool for us to team up later and do this. And it's like, 8 years later after that exact conversation was had, it's like the world just kind of aligned to bring Jared and I back together to literally shake the city in October.
Brian is, of course, very charismatic, and that's, of course, what drew me to Brian specifically. I knew that he just bought that building, so in my head, I'm like, oh, watch, he's probably going to pitch to me. We're going to do a haunted house in his building that just flooded out. It wasn't long after Brian reached out to me, and Brian's like, yo, I got a cool new haunted house venue. And he's like, the old Mad River building. I got the whole first floor. You want to do it? And in my head, I'm like, dude, I just saw all the photos and the videos of that place freaking underwater. It's gonna happen again. I mean, I know it's in a floodplain. So at first, I'm like, it would be cool. Did some research on the flooding in Philadelphia, specifically in Manayunk. Pretty much pull up the flood charts over the last 250 years. The Hurricane Ida flood in 2021 was the worst in history, I think. Data from the flood charts actually looked feasible. We probably have a good 10, 15 years in us before we get flooded out again. I think we can make do. So after the flood charts, I think that's when I kind of made the decision in my head, I'm doing this.
We've walked through a lot of them. We went out to the convention, we toured some of the best haunts in the nation. One of the things that I think that Jared has a one-up on not only is the story behind it and how the story integrates so deeply into the design, but how this thing is laid out and like the juxtaposition of things. Like as an architect, he's doing everything that you're taught not to do to make people feel awkward and weird when they're in different stages of going through this thing to create the ultimate scare factor. And I think that's gonna bring a level of like, people are gonna just be like, I need to see this because it hasn't been done like this before.
As we were kind of laying out the design, I mean, the plan pretty much required about 200 wall panels, so they're each 4 foot wide by 8 feet tall, and just kind of working the schedule on just time going by so fast. We're trying to figure out how we're gonna be able to pull this off. These will not look anything like what they are now. Once they're installed and in place, they will be getting painted, distressed. There will be other materials on top of them. It'll completely be disguised to tell a story and kind of showcase different sets.
When you lay out 8,500 square feet on a floor plan and realize all the spaces and all the different things that need to go in there and how much stuff that is, it's a little overwhelming, but also exciting because we're literally like, buy that for the torture chamber, buy that for like this room. Like it's the coolest part about it, and I think that's been what's been fun. Like, all right, we get to buy all these really cool things, animatronics. We have things that move. We're having like, they work off air pressure canisters, so there's air tanks that are making these things trip over like lasers, right? So laser hits, this thing comes flying at you. Like that stuff, learning all about that, not only getting to learn about it, but then like buying it and being like, all right, it's in a box, like we're ready to install this. That's been a lot of fun for Jared and I, building up to this point.
The past month flew by pretty quickly. I can't believe it's July already. I know October 6th, our opening day, will be here in no time. So it's a little nerve-wracking with the schedule that we're working with. We've been pushed back a bit just with the construction work that's been going on here, which will be a continuous progress for the next month. And so we're really racing the clock here. So that's definitely the biggest challenge that kind of have ahead of me so far. We're working on the painting, the set design, the theming. The wall installation for the next 2/3 of the attraction that's kind of the next big piece. I think we're behind schedule right now. Constantly we'll be kind of jumping around from one thing to the next between wall installation, from painting to theming to special effects overlays.
How are you feeling right now?
This is Victor Kane, custom silicone mask. So we'll be seeing more of him real soon.
It's definitely the reactions, right? The amount of time and money that went into creating that space, and then to see people coming out and saying, this is better than Universal Studios Haunt Nights, or this is better than this, or I've been to so many haunted houses, and this is the first time I was actually scared. Those reactions are everything. Like, this is the scariest haunted house in Philadelphia.